Welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Larry.
And I'm Heather. In 1998, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer at the age of 26. It changed everything for us, but I'm still here.
You are.
Yeah.
And we're clashing today.
I know. Woo! Red and purple.
For those of you who are watching versus listening.
I know.
I guess this is bad.
Well, it's just not the most coordinated, but it's okay.
Okay.
We'll deal with it.
What are we talking about today?
I thought maybe we'd talk about food today. I think the number one question that I get asked is like, what did you do food-wise? And like, do you eat this or do you eat that? And very specifics, So I have my coffee and I'm ready to talk about food this morning.
Okay. So in general, forget cancer.
Yeah.
There are foods that are good for you. There are foods that are neutral. And there are foods that are bad for you. Just in general.
Okay.
When we talk about nutrition in general.
Tell me more, health teacher.
Okay. So the basic understanding of food is the more natural it is, probably the healthier it is for you. Now that's not 100% true because we can have some very natural things that are really high in fat content, for example, or specifically saturated fats, which, it is pretty natural, but we probably want to stay away from. We're usually talking about the things that come from the ground. And those things that come from the ground, the closer it is from getting picked from that field to going into your body, or another way of saying that, the less processed it is, it's probably better for you. So just in general, good foods, it would be probably an hour-long program to talk about what are good foods specifically. Right. But then we throw metastatic cancer on top of this. Yeah. That can alter what is a good food for you compared to what is a good food for somebody else because of what the cancer thrives on in general.
Right.
Right? So.
Yeah, so food is complicated in that there's also, it's the simplest thing, it is fuel for our bodies, right? That's what food is. Yes. But it's so much more, right? It's a comfort, it's traditions, it's social, it's a million different things in that respect. So, and I think we have a tremendous amount of there can be a lot of guilt over it, or it has a lot of power. Yeah. It really does.
For sure.
But when I was diagnosed, it was also something that I really had the ability to have some control over. And that felt good to me, right? Like I felt like with the cancer, there were so many things that I couldn't control and everything else. But I knew that...
Well, specifically, you couldn't control the cancer.
Right. Which was the thing that was making the biggest impact, right? The thing that, would have changed everything. So why did you make the decisions you made? Maybe get specific on that. I think for me, it helped me feel like I could do something on a daily basis to fight cancer. And so it started with just, how can I eat better? How can I optimize my immune system, my whole body, so that maybe it's not working so hard, or maybe I'm even giving it a boost, and therefore the drugs, the things we were using to kill cancer could really just do that, or maybe it would make the effects of the treatment I was doing feel a little bit better, or not, I don't know, maybe not have as many side effects or something. But, yeah.
And even if that wasn't true.
Right. Absolutely.
There's the mental side of this, right?
The whole mental side of it.
I am doing this and it is working and I believe that, therefore, maybe it does, right?
Absolutely.
There's a reason why placebos work. And could this have been somewhat of a placebo? Absolutely, for sure.
Absolutely.
But there is some science behind some of this that isn't just the placebo effect. And the fact is, those simple carbohydrates, for example, cancers absolutely can. People like to say feed off of that, which isn't really true. It's just simple carbohydrates are the easiest carbohydrate to break down, the easiest carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen to break down in the body, and it can happen fast. And well, why not this fast-growing cell use that to reproduce? That's where that came from. And it is true. It absolutely does. So why not? I mean, you did cut out a lot of simple carbohydrates at the time.
Yeah.
Yep. You also cut out things that possibly had hormones in them.
Yeah.
Why?
Because my cancer was hormone positive. Mm-hmm. So it just felt like another source to feed the cancer. And I didn't want to do that. I wasn't going to do that. So, that for me meant no dairy, no meat. And that it felt, I think at first, like, whoa, how are we going to do this? But it quickly became something that was sort of a challenge to me, and it felt good.
When you started this, you went from kind of, on a spectrum from here all the way as far as you could probably go.
I was as all in as I could be on that.
And then over time, you scaled back from that.
Oh, for sure.
Where some people might not be comfortable doing that at all. And when I say this, anything that could possibly have a hormone in it, it was out.
Right.
100% out.
Yeah.
Sugar. I don't know if the sugars were 100% out, but probably during that beginning. For the most part,
they were more of a treat when something like that. But for the most
very
part,
few and far between. Yeah. But some people might like to do it the other way.
Oh, for sure.
In steps working to that. And
I think that's probably a much more realistic way to do it in a lot of aspects. Right. And, the other thing was that, like, it was 1999 when I was doing this.
Right.
And, boy, the availability of everything, information, but also kind of food that, I mean, of course, fruits and vegetables have always been around, but but kind of the whole thought about all of that was just it was a little more challenging to kind of change up my diet and find places that would have this, whatever I was looking for. And
the world was going to end the next year.
Oh, that's right.
So you had that to worry about.
Oh, Y2K. Yeah. Oh, that was fun. Yeah. So, so the things I cut out: meat, dairy, sugar. A lot of processed foods.
No processed foods were in your diet.
Yeah. It became one of those things that when I think about it over time, the things that I still think about are, can I read the back of a container? Right? And
how many ingredients?
Does it sound like a science project, or does it say real things? Or maybe, does it even need a container? So is it perishable? Is it, something that is from nature? Those are good things. It comes back to that eat real food, less is more kind of thing. The less is more part is hard for me.
Me too.
But I think one of the biggest things with making all those changes was how I felt about it. For me, it was really empowering. For other people, it feels super overwhelming, I think. Yeah. Or they feel very deprived by having to make changes. I say that with air quotes. And in that respect, I feel like then it's maybe not even a good idea for you to do it, because...
Completely agree.
Because the deprivation in that mindset, I feel like negates so much of the benefit of eating good food.
It does. And remember what we said a few minutes ago is, for Heather, in doing this, it was a positive mind change that took place, and you felt like, I am doing something to kill cancer, and yes, it's a little bit of a sacrifice, but yes, I am sacrificing it, and I am killing cancer. And then we had the luck of tests down the road showing good things.
Yeah.
So, wow, what a backup to I'm doing this and it equated to this. And obviously the medicine was involved to a high degree, but was what you were doing successful? And the answer was yes, based on the test. Well, that just,
it just fueled everything.
It fuels and allows your mindset to be positive. But absolutely it can work in the opposite way. If you're really struggling with it's almost putting you in a negative point of this and trying to do this and failing at it and failing at it, which we've all done when we're trying to watch what we eat and eat better and you fail at it. That's just the truth. That can go the opposite way. So I do want to acknowledge that.
Yeah. So it in that vein of it being able to be, or seeming overwhelming, I feel like, I don't know if it's just us as Americans, but people tend to, it's kind of, or at least for me, all or nothing sort of people. And really, I think when you're trying to make dietary changes, sometimes just little baby steps are the best way to go, right?
Which we talked about a lot of different things on this show is, little small goals, achieve that goal, reward yourself, and maybe advance that goal for the next week or the next month or whatever you're doing. That is absolutely true. This week, I'm not going to. This week, I am going to eat, X amount of fruits and vegetables each day. Yeah. This week, I am not going to have dessert.
I knew that was going to be your answer.
That's me. This week, I am only going to have dessert 2 times in this 7 days. I'm going to reward myself, and I am going to have it. But, that reward or those small goals and reaching those goals feels good. And then you realize, wow, I can do this. Maybe next week I even take it a step farther and really work. But, the whole, we both believe in anything in moderation is fine.
Sure.
Except for crack cocaine, again. Anything in moderation is fine. If you want to have, and she buys the little desserts, so the 100-calorie desserts or those kind of things. Wow, that's way better for you than the entire tub of ice cream, right? So it portions it for you and allows you not to have to think about it, and you can just grab it. Now when she's not around, I'll eat 3 of those. So it doesn't really do it for me. So
I think some of that though is also kind of finding what will satisfy you in terms of, when we're talking about desserts or sweet kind of things, for me, it oftentimes doesn't, I'm better off just having something that I really want and trying to keep a portion small versus trying to sub in a healthier version of it, like whatever, all the,
for sure,
the different ice creams that are like lower calorie or all these things, they don't feel like I've had dessert to me. So I'm again better off just to have an ice cream that I like and not have a lot of it. Although I will say, when I do the frozen bananas, like with chocolate on them, oh my gosh, those are so good.
They are very good.
And they're only like 130 calories, I think. That feels like
and you get a fruit in there.
And you get fruit,
So it's a bonus of that.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I agree with you in terms of, just taking little steps. And I think rather than even looking at depriving yourself or whatever, first look at adding in those things that are healthier. If you really look at how many fruits and vegetables we get in a day, it's kind of pathetic a lot of times. And I mean, when I was really in it, I was eating probably 11 or 12 at least servings of fruits and vegetables a day, if not more.
And you were getting a lot of those. How?
Through my smoothie.
Yeah. So what an easy way to maybe start your day, or a lunch, a meal.
Yeah.
But man, you were just loading it with positive foods.
Yeah. So my smoothie has been around for a long time, and I'm sure it came from like Dr. Black or somebody where we kind of started it. The only caveat to smoothies is that they can get pretty calorie intensive pretty quickly, so you have to be careful with that. But I will say, like,
what's your base and
so for me, and it's changed over time. For me now, I keep a bag in the freezer of, like, it's like a smoothie bag. And honestly, what happens is when I buy fresh fruit or I buy spinach and things like that that's in the fridge and I know it's going to go bad, I throw it in the smoothie bag. So spinach, this was something I didn't know.
And this gets frozen.
And it gets frozen, yeah, exactly. And the spinach leaves just kind of break up right there. Anyway, so I'll put bananas that are going bad, I'll chunk them up and throw them in there, or pineapple, whatever.
Any fruit.
And then a spinach or even a spring mix I'll throw in there.
You were doing whey protein, I believe, in there, weren't you, for a while?
For a while. I don't, now again, for me, it's more like I want less calories. So I'll even just mix it with water. It doesn't bother me. But you do have to make something that is,
you do have to
like
be careful when Heather was starting out this stuff. It was, remember, cutting out all meat, cutting out all dairy. Ooh, still got to get your protein. We don't need a lot of it. We only need 10 to 15% of your diet. So she was supplementing that. She was getting her protein in that shake, in that smoothie,
Yeah.
And honestly, getting everything she needed in that day in one smoothie from the protein aspect that she wasn't getting normally from a meat or from something like that.
Yeah. So, my other thing, I get comments about spinach in smoothies. You don't taste it. You can't taste it.
Those in our generation, spinach got a kind of a bad name.
Popeye,
from Popeye, and then the spinach we had in the cans in the 70s, and it was just so gross. Well, that's not the spinach we're talking about. We're talking about the green leafy, dark green leafy spinach. Crazy good for you.
Yeah. And the other thing, I guess, with a smoothie is that a good blender is important to really chop it up good. I don't ever put ice in mine because I use frozen fruit. But I have a Ninja that I've had for we've had a long time now. It's worked really well. And even the single serve of that Ninja works really well. A lot of times I do make them now in single serves because, again, it helps. I know it helps control portion and calories and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of...
that's a pretty simple thing that really everybody listening or watching can do. Is start your day with a smoothie. You're going to get healthy calories in right away. Now, a lot of them are simple carbs, which means it's not going to really fuel you throughout your day. No. You're going to get those simple carbohydrates, and honestly, if you're putting them in your body at 7 o'clock in the morning, in the early afternoon, you've burned through that. So
you need lunch.
You need lunch, or it can probably make you to dinner type of thing. But that's the downside, is they are, for the most part, simple. You can add some complex carbohydrates to a smoothie. You could blend up some pasta in there, and you'd never even some cooked pasta. You could. No, and it would become part of your base. To get some of that complex to fuel you longer.
I think I'd do brown rice before I did pasta.
Okay, whatever it is, it's going to be chopped up, and you're not going to even know it's really there. So that's the downside to that. You're getting healthy calories, but they're not going to be around long.
Yeah. Try a smoothie. They're good. I actually, again, I'm more focused a lot of times on actual, like, what they're doing for me than the true flavor of them. So I sometimes also make them in a batch and put them in the fridge for the week. But when you do that, they do separate a little bit. So I would say if you're a new to smoothie person, make them fresh for yourself. But as you get going, you can, and
make it easy for yourself, like what you said,
the smoothie bag
in the freezer. So you're not taking 15, 20 minutes to make the smoothie. It's pour a little thunder and in 3 minutes you're done with that and you're walking out the door. And we all know the harder something is, the less likely we are going to continue doing it.
And I like the smoothie bag too, in that, like, I think a lot of times when people start, changing their diet, they buy all this fresh stuff and think, oh, I'm going to eat it all, and then it goes bad. So the smoothie bag also really helps with waste, right? It keeps the things you didn't eat can just go right into that. So the other thing I was going to talk about beyond this smoothie is sometimes I feel like we get really caught up in the details about, like, organic, not organic, what's the best source, blah, blah, blah. And I think food source absolutely matters.
Yes.
It does. But I when I am looking again at fruits and vegetables, I try to just kind of follow more of like what the dirty dozen is in terms of knowing where to spend my money and kind of make an impact in terms of buying organic or not organic, right, for things. And I don't know. I just don't get super worked up about it in general.
There's other things to get worked up about.
Right. I have found over time that I do feel like there's, if you guys have an Aldi by you, not an ad, but Aldi has frozen vegetables that are organic that are really inexpensive, and like they have canned like beans and stuff like that are organic. I think some things actually do have a taste quality that is a little better when they're organic. But just
some things taste worse.
you think?
That is true.
What are you talking?
Yes, some organic foods taste worse, and I'm not saying the non-organic is better for you. Matter of fact, it's probably worse for you, but it's so genetically changed that it does taste better. And some of the things the organic farmers cannot do in order to be organic. That's the truth.
Okay.
In my mind.
That's your opinion.
Taste is an opinion, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Know your sources. Like, again, for meat specifically, I do eat meat now. And we get a lot of our meat from a local farm. I think we've talked about this a little bit too in terms of different things. It's pretty cool and pretty easy now to source your meat, and
trying to source all foods local is
it's
sometimes
easy.
Pretty healthy.
Yeah, for sure. And hi, there's Ellie's ears. Yeah. So the other thing I was just gonna say is like set yourself up for success. Mm-hmm. So, it's kind of crazy to me the amount of time I spend thinking about food and like meal prep and different things like that. But I think it's just sort of a hobby for me. But you can be successful in all, regardless of how your life looks. So for me right now, I have time, but I'm limited because I'm working away from home as to what I have. I don't have a full kitchen during the week anymore. So just thinking about kind of how to meal prep my food, or we've used the meal services a little bit in the past, and again, I think they're really good, healthy options.
They're unbelievable. They're so good. And if you're not a cook,
you learn.
It teaches you how to do things and you get this flavor in the end. You're like, wow, that is delicious. And I never would have known to add these 4 things, boil them down. But I don't know how to do that. But wow, it's awesome. We've used multiple different ones. Yeah. What have we used?
Well, we've used a bunch. We've used HelloFresh and Every Plate, and I think Home Chef, and so they're great. They are great, and honestly, I mean, again, portioning is really good, and you can get. I mean, I just kind of bought between them all and get so that I can get a discount on some of them. And now I think we're gonna.
You'd think they send us a discount for doing this?
Not an ad.
For our millions of
of viewers. I know. Yeah. Well, now we actually need a discount for the meals that are already prepared, because for this I can't cook during the week anymore. So I need a good healthy meal, and I've been looking at all of those, and so I'm excited about that. But
so the other way of tackling this is
to meal prep, to batch prep, and I'm going to do some of that today. Yeah, and I find that that makes me feel like I'm really prepared, and it definitely helps you to be successful when you're not scrounging for something, right? And I've noticed that if I eat fairly regularly, then I don't crash at 3 o'clock in the afternoon like I would prior to that. And again, you just have to find what works for you. So my new job, I don't have to take a lunch if I can eat something quickly. So, you know what I've been doing is wraps. Like I love a wrap, and you can pretty much put a salad in a wrap, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and a little bit of protein or whatever. So just really thinking about what works for me. What, you know, do I need to keep it cold, not keep it, all of that kind of stuff. But it's worth thinking about, you know.
And for me, I'm officiating almost every night, so I'm getting home at 9:30.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, if I don't have a meal prepped, I'm eating crap, or I'm not eating anything at all and just going to bed. Which neither of them are real healthy for you. Not that it's healthy eating a meal at 10 o'clock at night. I get it, but I'm starved. So,
but I'd rather you eat something that's healthy for you than I know.
For sure. Or just a prepared meal compared to
chips and salsa.
Yeah, you know, a prepared meal. It's nice. So
yeah, it's very doable. So, and honestly, you know, we've been doing this and stuff for a long time, but you can always find an expert. You can find somebody who will really help you dial in nutrition. But, you know, you need to find somebody who really understands your lifestyle and what you're trying to achieve.
And maybe that you're going through treatment.
Oh, absolutely.
Because things change with that, and there are nutritionists out there that know what they're talking about.
Well, and that's again where the people I worked with were amazing for every phase of what I was doing. We were changing supplements. We were changing kind of our focus. It's impressive. And it doesn't...
And they have science behind it. They have data now.
Yeah, and they were doing blood draws. And we were doing labs and things like that to really watch.
But now it's 20, some years down the road.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more data on that, and you can do positive things for yourself if you're in treatment.
Yeah. So maybe, we'd be curious to hear how you guys do food and how you feel about it. And again,
and we can also give basic tips with this stuff. You know, we neither of us are nutritionists, but we have a lot of experience with it, and we can give our 2 cents, or maybe, more specifically, if you want to contact us, feel free, and I'll share what I know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's have a good, healthy week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. These are Wednesday episodes. Have
the good rest of the week. Yes. Very good. All right. Hit it, Ty.